Hi everyone, hopefully you can see and hear me okay. Someone give me a thumbs up if the sound is all right and the picture is okay. Give everybody a couple of seconds just to find us. I can see Sophie in the comments, Rita, Muriel, afternoon everyone, Barbara's here. So I think I have everything prepared. Travel with Kathy saying hi from Texas. It is probably a lot warmer in Texas than it is here today. I have just got my t-shirt on because I have been working in my jumper this morning and it did get quite warm, and I usually do get warm when I'm sewing live, usually because I do make an error and I get myself flustered. So I thought I'd just sew with my t-shirt on. So I hope everybody is having a nice Tuesday. I have had a busy morning. I have traveled with Kathy saying it's snowing in Texas. Oh, wow. I don't know why I just presumed it would be warm there. I don't know why I did. Yeah, I've had a busy morning. I have done some orders this morning, and then following on from yesterday's chat when I was talking about destashing, when I was in the sort of workroom where all the stock is, I started going through some of the things that's in the destash there, which was probably a little bit of a bad idea, and I had to stop myself going down a rabbit hole because I knew I was going to be on here this afternoon. And then I've just been making sure that I had everything prepped for today, and I have also made a lasagna and put that in the oven for when I am finished. So I am looking forward to that. Lasagna is my favourite. I absolutely love it, but I can only eat my own because I can't just go and buy a lasagna because I am allergic to onions. So, but I am also very fussy, so I'll only eat my own. So I am really looking forward to that. So we are making the Ethel by Swoon. So where is my mouse? I did a cool, where is it? I did a cool little banner thing today. Have up while I'm on screen. So yeah, so it's the Ethel by Swoon, which is an amazing beginner pattern. A little bit of a frog in my throat there. Sue will be very proud of me if Sue's on or is on later on. I have my water to drink. This is great for using up sort of fat quarters. Great bag for using quilting cotton. It doesn't really take hardware. I'm using a little bit of hardware because obviously I'm not following the pattern totally. But you know, it's minimal hardware, so it's a great pattern to use when you're just starting out in bag making. It's very easy to follow, but it's also a pattern that you can really sort of make your own once you've kind of feeling that little bit more confident. You know, it's kind of got a really nice surface area, so if you take off this slip pocket, you can use embroidery designs, and you know, it really shows off embroidery designs really well. When you know you've kind of really feeling that you're honing some extra skills, you can add things in like piping and all sorts. You can really sort of take other skills that you learn in other bags and add it into this bag and take it to another level. So I think it's a great beginner bag, but it's also one that, you know, once you've been bag making for quite some time, I think that you should come back to it and add in skills that you've learned and take it to a whole new level. So I am going to be using a wool blend, some leather, some quilting cotton, and basically kind of showing you how you can take a very simple bag pattern, and you can do it in a simple way. You can do it with just quilting cotton and interfacing and obviously some foam like the pattern tells you to, or you can really sort of bling it if you're wanting to. Donna says hello. Pam says hello. Muriel says Ethel by Swoon is one of the most popular asked for purses at work. The next is the Devon by Sotak. Yeah, I love the Ethel. I think it's a fab bag. Sue says good afternoon, everybody. Sue, I have my water. Are you proud? I'm going to be a good girl, and I've actually only had 2 cups of tea today. I don't even know who I am. So we're going to go through the pattern pieces. I'm really sorry that my table seems to be really quite bright. It wasn't like that earlier on when I set up, but then when I've come back and sat down, it seems really bright. So probably better than it being too dark, but you know, we're just going to have to go with it. So my grey is a leather, and I'm using it because I absolutely love it, and I didn't have a great deal of it left. I had used it on another bag, so I thought this is going to be perfect for using up what I've got left, but a vinyl will work just as well. I have already sewn my handles just to kind of prep a little bit. So your handles you will cut out at 4 inches wide by 20 inches wide, and if you use the video in the description for strap handles and just construct them in exactly the same way as the 2-fold method, either if you're using vinyl or if you're using cotton, and that is how you will sew them together. So like I said, my handles are already done just to save us a little bit of time this afternoon. So the pattern pieces that we are going to need are our bottom pieces, which we need an exterior and a lining. My lining is a quilting cotton, and it has been, that's so bright. See if I can turn this down a little bit. My quilting cotton has been interfaced with a woven interfacing, which is the one that I have on my website, and my leather has been stabilized with the pattern piece in the pattern, and I have used Decaville Heavy, and then I have gone over that with I need two ticks. I'm going to change you back over to my screen and then see if I can change my camera, because for some reason that is just reflecting so much light. You can probably see how dark I am now, because I've turned the light down, but then for some reason that angle is just making that light reflect so badly. 2 seconds. I'm just going to change my camera angle. I thought it worked as a better angle, but I spend so much time trying to work out where's my mouse, trying to work out, is that any better? Right, I'm going to try and not make people seasick. I am so sorry about this. So you can see how messy I am. I'm not as tidy as what you think I am. Right, let's see if I can get this working better. Let's get my stand positioned. And it just seems to be reflecting so much light for some reason, and I am not sure why. Let's see if this works better. Right, okay, so I have my Decaville Heavy, which is cut from the pattern piece in the pattern, and then I have gone over the top with some fusible fleece. I haven't worried about keeping the fusible fleece out of my seam allowance because 2 reasons for me. One, I wanted to keep my Decaville light my Decaville Heavy adhered to my fabric, and also I'm sewing on an industrial, so I don't have to worry too much about it being in my seam allowance. I am keeping it out of my seam allowances everywhere else. You will see where I'm keeping the fleece out of my seam allowances everywhere else. And I have then gone ahead and done some quilting. I've just kind of drew some lines and sewn at my top stitching length, which is 4.5, and I do that because I like it and I think it looks nice, but it also helps to keep the Decaville Heavy in place as well. So that is the reason that I do that. So I'm just going to sort of move these over to one side to keep these sort of neat and tidy and where I can find them. We then have our side panels. We have 2 exteriors, 2 linens. Linens are exactly the same. Quilting cotton with woven interfacing, and then my outers are leather, and again I have used fusible fleece, but on this occasion I have kept it out of my seam allowances. The only place that I haven't kept it out of my seam allowances is on that base, and that was purely to keep my Decaville Heavy in place. So those are my side panels, and then we have our main panels. So this is my wool blend. This has been, I hummed and hawed about whether to interface this with woven interfacing, because it is quite a thick fabric, but I think I did want to stabilize it a little bit. So I have interfaced it with woven interfacing. We're just going to have to see how we'll go. Well, I'm just going to have to see how I go. And then I have used fusible fleece out of my seam allowances. Now the pattern calls for foam, but because my fabric is really quite heavy, I felt that foam would probably be too thick. So that is the reason that I have gone for fleece on this occasion. If you were using just quilting cotton and interfacing it with woven interfacing, foam would work really well, and I would just baste it within the seam allowances and then trim it back. And then my lining pieces are the same, cotton interfaced with a woven interfacing. We then have our slip pocket, which I have one exterior, and that has been interfaced with woven interfacing, and I have the lining piece, which is the cotton interfaced with a woven interfacing. Now the pattern calls for 3 pieces of lining because the interior slip pocket is made up of these pattern pieces, but I'm going to do mine slightly differently because, well, of course I am, it's me. So I have only cut 1, and I'm going to do my slip pocket slightly differently, and I'm also going to put in a zipper pocket too. So I have cut out basically 3 pieces the same, 8 inches by 10 inches, 2 of which are going to be for my zipper pocket. I've just basically cut them the same size to make it easy. If I need to trim them down, I can. And then my slip pocket is 8 inches by 10, and I have cut a accent piece, which is a little bit longer than I need it to be, but 1 inch deep. And my accent piece is a 6-inch opening. These are just templates that I have. I think I got them from Drumdray, but there's lots of templates online that you can find, but this is a 6-inch opening. Move them all to one side, And then these are the bits of hardware that I'm going to be using. If you're following the pattern and just doing a very sort of simple basic version of it, you won't need any of this hardware, but this is the hardware that I am using. So I've got some zip for my interior zip pocket and a zip pull, and I have 2 magnetic snaps because I'm not sure whether I'm going to use one or whether I'm going to use 2. So I've got 2 just to be on the safe side. So what else do I need to tell you? I have an 18-inch, not an 18-inch, that would be a massive needle, an 18 needle. I'm using Tex 45 thread. Construction stitch will always be 2.5 and top stitch will always be 4.5. The seam allowance is 1/2 inch, and I think that kind of covers everything before we get started. Let's just check the chat. Donna says, would roll handles work with this pattern if you felt confident to do them? Yeah. Cynthia says, good morning. Valerie says, hi all. And Sophie saying hi to Donna. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a start on my slip pocket on my interior. So I think I'm going to do all of my interior pieces first. So how I like to do my slip pockets is, rather than putting them together and then stitching round, leaving an opening, turning it through and not having quite sort of square corners, is I will draw a line down the long edges and then press in. You can use double-sided tape if you prefer, and then I will fold my edges together, just pop some clips in. Now this slip pocket is kind of like a standard size that I use, so no matter what size the bag is, so even if I have a really big bag, unless I'm wanting the pocket to be really big because I want to say fit I don't know, like a tablet or like my small laptop in it, if I'm going to be using it as like a laptop bag. But the reason that I like this size pocket is, I was going to say I'll turn my phone over so that you can't see the screensaver of my hubby, but you know what my hubby looks like, so it's fine. But it fits my phone in perfectly. It's a neat fit, but it means it's not thinging around. So when I did the dimensions for this, I did this for my phone. So and my phone is quite a big phone, so that is the reason that I do this size pocket as standard in most of the bags that I make, because although I tend not to make bags to keep myself, I then tend to keep most bags myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a row of stitching along the top here just to keep it in place. And then I am going to add in my trim. So just pop a couple of clips on this edge here just to keep it in place while I'm working. So I like to take the bottom one off first. This leather, I absolutely love it. I got it from, I think it was GH Leathers in Whitechapel. Will double-sided quilters tape do? Yeah, absolutely, it will work perfectly. And I quite often like to put this on working towards myself because I can see that I'm lining it up. And then I take the top off. And then if I have it so that it's bigger, I can fold this edge to meet and then fold this edge to meet. And then basically, sometimes when you're doing it with leather, you've got to make sure that you're not stretching it out. Just make sure that I'm bringing that over far enough so that those edges are the same. Louise is joining us from Quebec in Canada. Good afternoon. Well, it's afternoon to us. I think it's probably fairly early in the morning for yous over in Canada. Tess says hello from -13 in New Jersey. Wow. I think I can't remember when it was that I was on the other week, and I was saying about I went to New York in January one time, 2017, and when I landed it was -10. It was so cold. And when the day I left, it was +17. And I've never been anywhere where there was such a shift in temperature in such a short space of time. But oh my God, what an amazing place. Loved it so much that me and my youngest daughter went back 2 years later and had such an amazing experience. So I'm just top stitching. It's so funny as well because whenever we're watching anything on the TV, both me and Neve will be like, we've been there, when it's New York on the TV, and everybody's like, we know. We absolutely loved it. And I have to say, I loved both times that I went, but I have to say that I think my favourite time was when I went with Neve, because I just loved seeing her experience it. It was just fantastic. So I'm just going to fold so I'm probably just going to guesstimate this if I'm totally honest. So I've marked my centres so I can see where my centre line's up. I can't get my ruler. I thought I'd been very organised this morning and left my ruler out, but I hadn't. So I can line my ruler up with that centre mark. And I'm probably going to line that up with about 2 3/4 down. Now, when you're putting a slip pocket in with in a bag, when it's different to how the slip pocket goes in normally. So obviously this is a variation of how the slip pocket would be in this bag. You want to make sure that it's not going too low that it's going to sit in the seam, or that it's going to be affected by the seam. You want to make sure that it's far enough down so that when you put your hand in, it's not sort of too close to the top. And you also want to make sure that it's not so close to the seams, the side seams, that it's going to get in the way of the side seams. But obviously this is a fairly small pocket because basically I just want it to be big enough to fit my phone in. So I'm going to just go around this edge, fairly close to the edge. My top stitching is always done 1/8 of an inch away, and I always back stitch into my corners just for a little bit of extra sort of security, strength. And I've just thought I really should have wound an extra bobbin. But in all fairness, it's Jason's fault because he called in half an hour before I was due to start and distracted me by having a cup of tea. So we'll blame Jason. Donna says went to Las Vegas for a conference, so didn't get to see much. Yeah, like that's the thing when you go somewhere for work. It isn't the same. You don't get to see it in the same light. So just trim all of those threads back and find my lighter. And just make sure I'm happy with that, and I'm going to put that one to one side and work on my other lining piece, which is going to be for my zipper. So I'm probably going to put that about the same distance down. So I'm going to line, so the middle of this ruler is a 7. So I'm probably maybe actually going to line that up at about the 2 mark. Obviously, I'm just kind of making this measurement up at what I think will work, because this pattern does not have a zipper pocket in it. I'm adding it because that is what I do. I don't tend to follow rules very well. So I've just given the middle of that zipper a squidge so that I can see where the middle is. I'm just laying it down, and then I'm just going to have a look to see if I think that will work. I don't think it's quite straight, so I'm going to go back in and play with it to make sure that I think it's straight, but I think sort of distance wise I think that is all right. But I'm just going to reposition that. I'm happier with that. Am I? Let's give it one last check. Yeah, I'm going to leave that as it is. So I'm going to sew around the outside. I'm going to have a look at my labels to see which label I want to put in. See if I can find them. Sorry about my squeaky chair. Oh, I'm going to put them in there so I don't lose them. I think I'm going to put one of these ones in. So I'm just going to pop that underneath there so that when I sew around this outside, it will catch that in. And pull those seams, not seams, threads nice and long. I've lost my mouse. Where's my mouse? So I'm on the wrong screen. Let's just take that banner off, and we'll take my name off because we all know who it is now, just in case it's getting in the way of anybody being able to see what I'm doing. Poor Andy, when he comes in from work tonight, is literally going to have the entire night of me trying to sort out the lighting issue with, so I'm probably going to be setting up a dummy feed. I'm probably going to make and put it on the telly and we'll be going between the two rooms trying to work out why I'm getting overexposure. Change on my other camera actually for you because it's a better angle. When you're putting in zipper overlays, it's worth just really taking your time. If you need to, you know, doing one stitch at a time. If your machine doesn't have the one stitch facility, use the hand wheel and, you know, literally hand crank it round to make sure that you have that control. Oh, how good was that? I have run out of bobbin. See, I knew I should have wound another bobbin. So I'm just pulling these threads through. Let's see what's in the chat. Is the linen fabric John Loudon Sparkle Blender? If so, never thought of using it as a linen. Yeah, I got quite a few. I got them from Emmanuel's. I got quite a few different colours because I thought actually they'd be perfect as a linen. But yes, it is John Loudon. I think I got like a grey silver, a blue, couple of different blues, like a sort of yellowy mustard colour. I can't remember which other ones I got now. But yeah, it was really quite good, and it was really very reasonable from Emmanuel's as well. So I'm just going to trim this back. Oh, Sue saying she got a few different ones from Boys. I didn't know Boys sold it. I'll have to watch out for that. Although not at the moment because I'm on a ban. So I'm just cutting back this fabric from behind the accent piece. Just obviously being very, very careful to not cut through my accent fabric. Oh, I think one of the blue colours I got was the denim. Oh, purple would be good. I've got lots of things that's purple at the minute, including my hair, obviously. Oh, just trim that bit back a little bit better. You don't have to worry about this being particularly neat. It just needs to be cut back far enough that you can't see it. Michelle says, I'm also on a ban. No space. Obviously, I have waterproof canvas from Canada coming and hardware. That's going well. Yeah. No, I need to be, because I want to have a major change around in the sewing room. Obviously, I haven't broken that to Andy yet. It's fine. He doesn't watch these longer videos anymore. He used to, but which way is it going to go? That way, yeah. He did used to watch the longer videos for me when, you know, I really needed watch hours and stuff. But, you know, I've got loads more of you guys following me now, so it's fine. He watches some of my shorter videos. So if there's any news I need to break to him, I sometimes just put in my videos and let him watch it. But yeah, I haven't broke it to him yet that I want to have a major change around in here. But in order to do so, I need I need for there to not be as much stuff, because what I want to change sort of like my fabric into, I want my fabric to be on display. My fabric is all sort of way in cupboards. Obviously, anybody who saw my video yesterday, you know, I want my fabric to be on display. I want it to be there for me to be inspired by. I think it will be a nice backdrop, but yeah, it's to me, I'll have to break to him. I'll need to butter him up. I'll buy him sweets, it's fine. Sophie says, did somebody mention purple? Donna, does it sparkle a bit? I think I've got a couple of fat quarters in the Swoon Street Advent calendar. It sparkles a bit, I'm not a glitter person, Donna. Like, I am not glitter in any way, shape or form. When I go to get my nails done, they are always like, would you like glitter? I'm like, absolutely not. Morgan says, damn, boy stole locator is broken. I'd love some purple. Oh. Go on Google. Look on Google. Just type boy stores next to me in Google. In like Google Maps, it'll bring it up for you. Right. I am going to put myself on mute while I quickly wind a bobbin. I'm back. Hopefully that muted and you didn't hear my machine winding the bobbin. Just make sure I put my put my machine back to normal settings. Does anybody else do that who has an industrial, who when you wind your bobbin and then you forget to put it back onto the like normal speed and then like nearly take off? Oh, that's why you can't put your bobbin in, Deb. Oh, is it in properly? Let's just double check it. Need to make sure it is in properly or it will not sew properly. Yeah, it's definitely more of a shimmer. I think the camera is kind of picking up where it's, you know, it's not. See if I can lift it up to the. It is more shimmer than glitter. Like I say, I am not a glitter person. Like, I mean, don't get us wrong. Like, you know, I like, you know, nice and fancy things, but for me personally, I'm not a glittery person at all. I'm just not girly like at all. Like those that saw my wedding pictures, like that's about as girly as I get. And I didn't obviously have a wedding dress as such. I was very unwedding-y. Elaine says hello. Hi Elaine. I am just rethreading my machine after winding and bobbing, because when I was putting on this morning, I was like, oh, I must go and get another bobbin because I didn't have any empty ones. I must go and get another bobbin from sort of like the workroom and wind another bobbin, and then I got distracted. Closest one is 4 hours away. Road trip, anyone? Well, if I go and they have any, I can't say that I've seen it in any of my local boys. I've got two near me. I can't say that I've seen any of my local ones, but if I go and I see it, I am happy to pick some up for you and send it to you. Absolutely no problem. I mean, I'm presuming you're in the UK with you saying that the nearest one is 4 hours away. So I am just going to cut some zipper tape, and I'm going to cut it a little bit longer so that I can keep my pull out of the way. I'm just going to put my iron on. So all the good stores are up north. It is probably the one good thing about living up north, Morgan, is we have lots of boys, because it is obviously it was sort of like started up here, and we have lots of Gregs. So yeah, but everything else living up north, we get very, very few of. We, you know, normally it's like, oh, we live up north, we can't get it. But yeah, we do have, like, wherever we have quite a big one, sort of maybe it's about 10 minutes from here in Durham. It's really big. It's like on an industrial estate. So I am pressing my zip because I haven't pressed it yet. So I have really sort of overestimated how much I need, because your zips will always sort of shrink back. So I'm just giving it a really, really good press here to make sure that it's nice and straight, and that if there's any shrinkage, I've got all the shrinkage. I've got it all out. So put my little press away. I do love that little press. It's so handy. Put my pull on wherever I've put it. This is the one thing that I'm still struggling to do with my finger. Like, it's really loads better. But there's two things that I'm struggling to do with my finger still. And one is open bottles, because obviously, it's pretty much healed now, but it's still sore. Now I'm going to have a bit of a dent, like an impression where the needle bar went into it. But like anything pressing against it's quite painful. So opening a bottle, I can't do, and I can't do it with I can't open a bottle with my middle finger. And putting the zip on, I can't do it. It's like, didn't realise. Donna says, I haven't worn a skirt or a dress for over 20 years. Yeah, I do like dresses. I do actually wear dresses quite a bit. But yeah, I still don't wear, wouldn't sort of say I wear sort of like particularly sort of pretty dresses. I wear practical dresses. So yeah. So I'm just putting the zip tape onto the zipper lining, right side of zipper lining up to right side of tape. It will seem counterintuitive to do it, because you'll want to do right side to right side, but trust me, it works. And I'm just going to use my fingers just to sort of press that flat. And then I'm going to line it up the other way. And I'm sewing it on at around about 1/4 inch seam allowance. Don't understand, I've got one of those thingies, I can't seem to get it to work. I have a video on my channel. The secret to it is a 60-degree angle. Just pop my iron back on again, because I'm going to give it another press. And just cut back all of these threads. I hate loose threads. So I'm just going to sort of finger press it to start with. So and then just use my iron. Oh, sorry, I thought I'd change my camera angle. Mustn't have pressed my button hard enough. Everybody who's from sort of Canada and New Jersey will be like, what they're talking about, boys? I've never heard of it. It's amazing. It's one of those stores that, like, you can go in, you can buy sort of fabric, a drill, your washing powder, a pair of jeans, sweets. It's just, yeah, it's like an everything store. It's fab. Morgan says I might find the biggest one and go there for the weekend. I think that's a very, very good idea, Morgan. In fact, I think that is an amazing idea. I mean, I usually entice Andy in with a Sweetie Isle, I'm not going to lie. So I'm going to take the bottom one off first. And I'm just going to try and make sure that I'm as centered as possible. Line my zip up. And again, sometimes I like to do it sort of coming towards myself so I can see that I've got the same amount of zipper tape and that I'm happy with it. Does it sell tea bags? If so, which ones? Oh, I think they do sell tea bags actually, Daisy. My Highland Cow mug that I usually have when I'm on videos, I got from Boys. So, you know, you can go in there, buy fabric and your dinner sets as well. Oh, Sue's saying it was about 3 years ago that you bought it, so they might not have it anymore. But I got mine from Emmanuel's, and I know that they do post out. So if you rang them, they might have it, and they might post out to you. So so I'm going to stitch round here. I'm going to start, obviously my zipper pull is at this end, so I want to start at the end that my zipper pull is at, and about an inch down from where that zipper pull is where I'm going to start, and I'm going to come all the way along until I get to about an inch from the other side, move my zipper pull in, and then finish off. And I'm going to pull my threads through the same as I did when I did the other side. I keep my threads long so that A, I can keep hold of them, and B, I can pull them through as well. So I'm just going to lift my foot move the zip pull in. If you feel that your stitch is going to go over, then just use lifting your presser foot and the wheel to kind of line your needle up. So I'm just going to pull my threads through. Just one at a time. That one does not want to pull through, so it's easily solved by well, it's easily solved if you can thread a needle. I think I was saying on one of the other videos, I bought some of those sort of, I don't know whether are they called sort of self-threading needles. In fact, I've bought 2 packets of them, and neither of them I can get to work. Like, neither of them like pull through into the like into the eye, and I'm like, I can't get them to work, and I don't actually understand what it is that that they won't work for. Like, I've got no idea. So rather than tying the threads off and having a knot on this side, I'm going to thread them through and tie them off on the other side. So if anybody has bought self-thread needles, send me a link, because they need to be sort of thicker eye, because I need to be able to get the slightly thicker thread through them. But I have a nightmare. Like, it can take me as long to get these blooming threads through than actually doing the entire zipper. Sophie says, don't forget Woollett Boys neither. You're very right. I don't knit or crochet, so I always forget that boys sell wool. They sell obviously loads of things. I'll tell you what I got the other week. Was a load of like needlecraft stuff. Well, it was more than the other week because I got it for Christmas from my mum. Yeah, like needlecraft, like embroidery type things for my mum for Christmas. They were lovely, and they were very, very reasonable, because my mum's been doing needlecraft and embroidery and stuff with not being able to knit and crochet with her shoulder. Oh. So I'm going to just trim these back. And trim them back to about here. And sew up the sides. I'm just going to take off this extra double-sided tape where I'm going to be sewing, just so I'm not sticking my foot. Now, always backstitch over my zipper tape just for reinforcement. And I just turn up that bottom to create the seam, and I'm going to just do exactly the same thing on the other side. So I'm now going to remember to leave my zip open, because the amount of times I forget and go to try and turn through and my zip is closed. Morgan's asking us, do I carry any purple hardware? No, I'm sorry, I don't. Reason being is that it's kind of just not popular enough for me to stock it. It obviously, each colour takes up a lot of space, and if I was to carry sort of purple, I would then have to carry pink, blue, green, and then in each size, and I just don't have the space. I think possibly bags of difference. So Michelle at Bags of Difference does. So I am going to do my slip pocket, my outer slip pocket now. So I think I'm going to put a magnetic snap on, just to keep that secure. So I'm going to put it, I think, about an inch down. So let me just get my ruler, make a mark. Shall I make it an inch or an inch and a quarter? No, I'll make it about an inch. That pen's not working. Use this one. So make it an inch down, and so I'm not going to install it yet. I'm going to sew my top bit first, and then I'm going to line it up. And I'm going to go through both parts. So that will mean when I come to insert the other part onto this bit, in theory, they will match up. Just going to get my Decaville that will need to go onto the back of this. I might as well mark them now while I'm on. And I have my seam ripper out. Misfits UK, Misfits UK sell colour hardware as well. Yeah, like I say, I do not have the space to stock. Okay, so I'm going to pop them to one side. I'm going to mark them so that when I come to put it in, I can see it. Put that back to one side for the time being. And then my slip pocket, I'm just going to go right sides together, and I'm just going to sew this together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Pop a couple of clips in, keep it in place. And then, because this is on a curve, I'm just going to trim back that seam allowance just by a small amount with my Pinkin shears. You want to make sure that you don't go through your stitch. Just use some clips to keep it in place. That needs spinning. Obviously, if you're using quilting cotton, you can press these. I'm just going to line up these centres and just use some clips just around the bottom, just to sort of keep it in place. And then I'm just going to top stitch along here at 4.5 at 1/8 of an inch. And then we can pop our magnetic snap in, and it's just much easier to do it in this instance without the magnetic snap in before you top stitch. So I'm putting the female part onto the lining. Popping some Deckerville heavy, not Deckerville heavy, Deckerville light behind it if it wants to go on. And then the washer. Pop some tape on. And then that one's done. And then I'm just going to pop the other part of the magnetic snap feel where them holes are, because obviously I can't see from this side. Hi Julie. There we go. And then just do exactly the same. Pop the Decaville light on the washer and then some tape. And then I am just going to line up those centres. Just pop some clips around, and then I'll base this in place. Just make sure that this is lined up as best it can be. So that's our front pocket done, with a magnetic snap on to keep it in place. Obviously, if you didn't want to put a magnetic snap on and you wanted this pocket to sort of like be into, oh, I've missed my basin out there, you could just put a row of stitching in and make this a 2-part pocket. I'm just going to catch this basin in here just to make it easier when I come to put that side panel on. Sylvia says your pattern matching is spot on. Thank you. So I am going to put my side panel to my base. I'm going to do that on my exterior first. So I've marked my centres both top and bottom already. So I am literally just going to match those centres and on the short sides and stitch them together at 1/2 inch. and I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. Hi Sarah. And then I'm going to top stitch it. Am I going to go towards the bottom, or am I going to butterfly? I think I might butterfly, or shall I go towards the side? I think I'm going to go towards the side. I'm not using a leather needle in this instance because it's going through fine, and I'm also sewing with cotton, and you can't use a leather needle with cotton, so I will be changing my needle over constantly. So I am just sewing with a regular needle in this instant. If I was sewing a bag that was totally in leather and I was sewing a very, very heavy leather, then I would be using a leather needle. But this leather is very, very soft. It's, you know, it's probably not even half. It's probably about 0.4. Yeah, it's really, really thin. So yeah, I'm going to top stitch this towards the side panel, because I think it's just too bulky to go towards the base. Susie says, I'm late, but hi. Yeah, and I'm using a size 18 needle, but it's just a standard needle, not a leather needle. So that is my gusset done on my exterior, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing on my lining. And then I'm going to top stitch these down towards the base so that the seams will alternate when they come to get put together and when they're sitting in the bag. Right, so I'm going to put my lining together first. Oh, there's my lining pieces there. So, put the gusset to the lining pieces. What I'm first of all going to do is match my centres and put in a clip. I'm just basically going to bring my clips over. And I'm going to pop a few clips in along this straight edge. I'm then going to bring the tops together to meet and put some clips in along that straight edge. And then where we need these two bits to sort of fit to each other, I'm going to clip into the gusset. So you don't clip into the main panel, you clip into the gusset. And I find that I tend to clip about every centimetre and a clip about 3 mil. And I'm going to use some pins. So and the reason that I'm using pins on the curves is because it's easier to get up to the pins and take them out as you're sewing than it is the clips. It's harder to take clips out and keep the materials together. It'll shift. So I'm putting in quite a few pins because I want to keep it in place. And then I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. So about every centimetre, and I'm clipping in by about 3 mil. And I'm kind of sort of spreading the gusset as I bring it up to meet this panel. I'm so sorry if you can hear my dogs in the background being very naughty. Just going to pop another clip in there. If you're finding that it's not, you know, you're still getting a little bit of bunching, just take the pin out, readjust, pop it back in, take the pin out, readjust, pop it back in. Hamish is currently outside of my sewing room door, sniffing the carpet because he knows it annoys me. So I do apologise if you can hear that in the background. I can hear it, but I don't know if you guys can. He's like literally sort of like sniffing and grunting along the carpet. But the last time I let them in, they were really, really naughty and kept like standing on my camera stands and what have you. So they're not getting let in. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sew all the way from the top all the way around to the other side at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm going to start a 1/2 inch at the top. I am going to increase it slightly as I sew around, basically to make the lining slightly smaller than the exterior, so we don't have a saggy lining or a baggy lining. We don't want a baggy lining. So I'm just going to pop my seam allowance on at the 1/2 inch to start with. Obviously we want to make sure it's 1/2 inch at the top as we start, because we want the top of the bag to match. So I'm just going to pop my seam guide out so I can just increase that. It is quite difficult to sew a big seam allowance when you're sewing in a gusset and not get creases. Susie says my 4 dogs just bark at everything. My 2 dogs do exactly the same. If a leaf blows past the door, they will bark. Hamish is just took to sniffing and sniffing. He just runs his nose along the carpet, sniffing constantly. It's driving me insane. And I am sewing over my pins. I am going very carefully to make sure that my needle isn't hitting my pins. And you'll notice I am taking a much bigger seam allowance. I'm at about 5/8 of an inch. I'm just, as I'm coming round, you'll see that I'm kind of spreading this top fabric out. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave a gap to turn my bag. But then I will sew the entire seam on the other side. So I'm wanting to make sure that, oh, let me just check. Oh no, it's fine. I thought the panel had got caught underneath, but it's not. It's okay. Now, I hate sewing with pins, like absolutely despise it. But I do find that pins work the absolute best when trying to sew a gusset on a lining. I'll staple on the thicker fabrics and on vinyl, but I find staples don't work as well on, for me personally anyway, don't work as well on the cotton, and pins just work better. Okay, so I've gone back to the 1/2 inch seam at the top. So let me just clip all these threads. Try not to stab myself with all of these pins. So I'm just going to take them all out because I'll need them for the other side. I'm not somebody who has a lot of pins because other than taking the back off double-sided tape and for things like this is about the only time that I tend to use pins for. So I'm just going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. So I tend to keep the flat part of my clip where on the panel, so not on the gusset part. Sarah says, my dog is a sniffer. He also licks the carpet. Yeah, Hamish does the same. He like literally just like walks along the carpet, like licking and sniffing. And he's only started doing it since he's like, you know, been on all the tablets for like with being poorly and stuff. Like he never ever used to do it. He's become a different dog since like having the condition that he has now. He's so strange. Like Bruce was always the strange dog out of the two, but yeah, Hamish has took that mantle. he like the sleep outside of our bedroom door as well. So we'll go to bed on a night time, and it's literally like all I can hear. And if like I thought bringing them in the bedroom would like make him stop, I would do that, but I know it won't. He'll just lie in the bedroom and do it. He's a funny one. He's a funny onion. So exactly the same, about 1 centimetre along, and just ease that gusset in all the way along. Plenty pins. It's a little bit like when, you know, if you're clipping something in and you use plenty clips, you can't use too many clips. This is the same. You cannot use too many clips. They're all characters. They are that. Like I say, like Bruce was always the one who was the biggest character out of the two. But yeah, I can literally sort of like, he keeps sort of like banging against, not like banging against the door, like he's not, like he's just outside of the door, so I can hear him sort of like pushing up against it as he's moving about. So I apologise if like sort of the camera and that is picking it up. So exactly the same other side. And just remember as well, like with doing these, like lots of people sort of, and I've been the same when I've been putting gussets into panels, like when, you know, I've put my notches in, I've gone to clip them in, and I'm like there, like I'm like, oh, that doesn't fit. It's just a case of going along and easing it in, sort of take your pin out, go back, sort of ease a bit more in, go back, ease a little bit more in, and it fits. Sort of, it's very rare, especially like with this, it has actually got quite a deep curve. It's not a sweeping curve, it is actually a fairly deep curve. So it's very rare that you'll kind of clip a few notches in and it'll just go straight in. It can take a fair bit of maneuvering and manipulation. So just keep going, and you know, if it's not fitting, take a couple of the clips out, you know, ease in what's there, and then move along, take a couple more clips of, and it will fit. It will go in, as long as you print it out at, you know, at your 100%, then it will fit. So there's many of you watching who've made the Ethel before, or have made it maybe when you were a beginner and fancy kind of making it in sort of different fabrics now. Maybe he's trying it in like a vinyl, or maybe he's like adding some embroidery or something like that onto it. Maybe he's like blinging it up a little bit. Susie says, are you using the walking foot? Yes, I've got a walking foot machine. I use a Jack H2. I do have a Janome HD9, but it's very rare that you'll see me using it, mainly because filming on it is a nightmare, because you get strobing on it when you try and film. If you find sewing this at the seam allowance quite difficult, like you can't flatten out the gusset into the seam allowance, the bigger the seam allowance, the more difficult that is. Sew your first seam at 1/4 inch, and then sew your second seam at your normal seam, and it will be easier. So I'm just going to trim down my seam allowance. I'm not trimming down the very top. I'm only trimming from about 1 inch down. And I'm using my pinking shears mainly because some of this is on the curve. Making sure that I don't go through my stitches. And then on the other side, I'm going to trim down. But I'm only going to go up to where I left that opening. I am not going to trim back where that opening is. I'm just going to baste my seams open as well, just because this makes stitching the top easier. It does take an extra couple of seconds, but it does make putting the seams together at the top much easier. Something's happened with my bobbin there. 2 seconds. It's jammed. Sue says, I've got some dark purple wool blend and some black and white dog tooth wool blend. I could use some, just need to see if I have the right amount. Yeah, it doesn't actually take a massive amount of material, this bag. So Rita says, I've printed the pattern but not made the bag yet. And Daisy says, I haven't made this bag yet. It was I made this very early on in my journey. I made it in a poppy fabric. Well, I'm saying early on, like I remember making it a couple of years in. And I remember one of the versions I made for Andy's mum. And I made it in a poppy, like I say, poppy version, and she absolutely loved it. So I'm going to pop this to one side and get my exteriors. Just before I move on, should I put a magnetic snap on the lining, do you think? Should I put a magnetic snap on the lining? Let me know. I'll sew up the exterior and you can tell me if you think I should put a magnetic snap onto the lining to keep the bag together, and I can put that on the lining before we sew it up. So I am just going to repeat that whole entire process. Right, so there's my middle. There's my middle. Yes. Okay, we shall do that. So I'm pretty much doing exactly the same thing, except on the corners I'm going to staple instead of using pins. Sabine says, good evening from Vienna just came home from work, sadly late from the party. It's fine, Vienna. Sabine from Vienna. It will be available to watch back whenever you want. So if you fancy making an Ethel, you will be able to watch it. It will be fine. Maureen says, forgot this was on, just found it. It's no problem, Maureen. Obviously, this isn't the club one that we have later on tonight. That one's at 7:30. This is a main channel live. It'll be on the channel forever. You can just go on and click it and rewatch it as many times as you like. So I'm not going to say staple straight away. I'm going to clip first to make sure that I have everything lined up and in place. Got these clips on the wrong way around. The flat on the other side. Sabine says, thanks, have the pattern, we'll watch on replay. It's a really fab pattern. And I mean, obviously it's free as well. So once I'm happy that those corners are all lined up well, move this one out of the way. Ivan says, have you ever made the Factum bag by Merchant Mills? I haven't actually heard of that one. So I'm going to basically just take out a clip and staple. And the reason that I'm stapling on the corners is because I don't want to be taking out the clips like as I'm sewing. Because it will shift and move. I want those edges to be kept in place completely, which the staples will ensure that happens. One in there. And obviously just put your staples within your can't get my words out, within your seam allowances, because then we'll just take them out once we are done. So this seam just gets sewn round at 1/2 inch the whole way round. And I'm just going to quickly take these staples out. You can do it after you've done both seams. Reason I'm doing it now is we all know how accident prone I am. The likelihood of me catching myself on one of these staples while I'm working is extremely high, and we don't need that to happen. So I'm just going to quickly take them out now. Oh, thanks, Donna. To be fair, Sue, like when you're in, anything that's already been is all like a little bit like on the main channel, everything's there to watch. Anything that's been live is there to watch back as a replay as well. So exactly the same process on this side. I'm excited to see this come together. This leather, I absolutely love it. It's such a nice weight. I love the sheen of it. Like it's just got like a sort of pearlized like finish to it. It's gorgeous. I loved it on my oh god, what's it called? What's the name of the bag that we're making in the club at the minute? Somebody help me out. I can't even think. But yeah, the first one that I made when I went to Wrexham, and I absolutely loved working with it. It was just so nice to use, to work with. It's gorgeous. And when I was trying to think what to use for this, I was like, oh, I should have enough of that left, and I did. And I was so pleased. Trailblazer. Thank you very much, Sylvia. Words have been hard today. Do you know what it is? I think it's because I'm hungry as well. Jason's going to get the blame again. I was making my dinner when he called in, and it's still sitting in the microwave. He doesn't watch my videos either. We're fine. He won't know that I'm calling him. We're good. He'd ring us late, go, what were you calling us for? And I'll go, knocking us off my stride, man. Pam says, love your state remover. It's so good. Much better than any of those, like other, those clippy, stupidity ones, like absolutely naff ones. That one's just so much better. So just make sure I'm happy with that. Oh, them boys are so gonna get told off when I go. It's not, they're totally like, your kids, like when they know that you're busy and they act up because they know that you cannot do anything about it. They're totally doing that. And they probably know that I can hear them. And they're like, ha, you can't do anything. Oh. Do you know, I tidied up my floor as well today. and I can't even begin to tell you how many clips I picked up off my floor. There was loads. I just fling them all over the place. I'm so bad. Right. So let's Andy's going to walk through the door and I'm going to be like, they've driven me nuts today. Take them out. And they're going to look at him like, what? We've done nothing. We're little angels. Oh. Now that is why you're stable. Right. And I'm just going to put another one there. Right. Oh, grab me. Save me pin. Hey, I'm so excited. I'm so looking forward to seeing this one come together. And again, all the way around at 1/2 inch. This is probably the worst part about taking out these. It's about putting in the staples, is taking them back out again. But it is totally worth it because it does make sewing it so much easier. Oh, missed a staple. That could have been disastrous to me pink and shears. Right, let's just double check before I crack on with these pink and cheese. Yeah, we're good. So I'm just going to trim down, and again I've left the top part of my seam as it was. I'm literally just trimming down from about an inch down, then all the way around by about half. And I'm just going to do the same on the other side. So this one's going to be more difficult because we've obviously got more seam on this one because of that pocket. So I'm going to trim down on that side. It's just really quite thick to go through. Obviously the main part that you need to trim down is the curve. So I'm just going to take this over behind me and just use my rotary cutter. And just easier to do it on the cutting table behind me with the rotary cutter to just do that flat seam there. Right, so let's do the other magnetic snap. So we're going to be sewing this at 1/2 inch, I think. I'm just going to double check it. I'm pretty sure this top seam is 1/2 inch. Yeah. Just put them handles with that. So we're going to be sewing that at 1/2 inch. Then our just trying to work out where our magnetic snaps would be well placed. Right, I'm going to place them down about 1 1/4 inches. Get my pen. So I'm just going to clip the top to keep them together. And I've matched my centres. So a little bit like I did when I put the lining on the pocket, sorry, on the front. I'm going to do both together. And I'm just using obviously Decaville on the back because it's very important normally, but even more important with this being on the lining and it just being cotton, because there's nothing else behind it to reinforce. So just decide which side you want on which. Oh, probably put a bit too much on there. This is why I always just wear jogging bottoms when I'm sewing, because I just wipe the glue on them. You probably think, oh my God, she looks scruffy when she's sewing. This is why, because I'm messy. Practical, not scruffy. Yeah. Oh, it's very practical. But I mean, you know, I wouldn't wear anything sort of like nice because I end up covered in threads, covered in glue, covered in bits of tape. Love the seam ripper. I got one from you last week. Easier and faster than traditional ones. Yeah. I mean, I love this seam ripper. Obviously, I've got the other part tucked away so I don't stab myself. But that one for putting in hardware, and it's amazing. Right, so we have the lining. We just need to baste our handles in. So I'm going to baste my handles in, and I'm also going to flatten out my seams the same way that I did when I did my lining. So I'm actually just going to do that at the same time. So what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to pop one side of the handle there. I'm then just going to make sure that my handle is not twisted, and line it up with the other seam and clip. And I'm going to do this one first. So I'm basically flattening out that seam and basting my handles in at the same time. So I'm just going to double check I haven't got my handles twisted before. That's fine. Just before I go ahead and put my lining in. So what I want to do is make sure that I have my oh, shall I put, I'll put a nameplate on as well, just before I sew it up. I always forget to put a nameplate on. I'm absolutely terrible for remembering to do it. Let's go. One and 3/4. Does anybody else like forget to like add nameplates and stuff on? Like, it's usually sort of like when I'm turning through and I'm like, oh man, my bloody nameplate, I'm forgetting every single time, like every time. I'm so bad for doing it, which is really bad, especially considering like I've got like my own ones as well, right? You know, that I've like paid to have made up. I think it's because I usually like forget to get them out as well. Like I don't, like I'll get all my hardware out, but because I keep my nameplate somewhere different, what have I done with my glue? Oh, there it is. I don't always remember to get them out, so I think that's quite a lot of the time why I forget. So that way. Oh, trying to get that through that hole from the other side's like not easy. Part of us is thinking, should have just left it. But there we go. It's through. I always forget to put a cute woven label on the inside. Yeah, to be fair, I'm quite surprised that like I remembered to do that. Right, is it straight? Probably not. But hey, I'm nothing if not wonky. So why should my labels not be? My fusible fleeces coming up. Right, so I need to work out which side I want my back to be on, which is this side. I want the back to be not the side that has my pocket. I want my pocket to be my front. Oh, turn my lining through. I need to find somewhere to get my own bag tags made. Yeah, it's lots of minimum quantities, don't I? Like huge, hundreds of each colour. So, try again, Deb. Try again. So I'm just going to match up my seams. And then my centres as well. And then this just gets sewn at 1/2 inch. And when I'm getting round to where my straps are, I just want to make sure that they're straight. I'm going to go back over them. Okay, and I'm going to take my bag through the opening in the lining because it's slightly bigger. Oh, not what you want to hear. And I usually don't trim down my top seam, not unless there is a massive amount of bulk. And I definitely don't trim down my straps. So I'm just pushing through everything. And then just push that into the bag. So you can really sort of see it coming together now. So I'm going to put my hand through the lining and just make sure that all of this, sorry, I know it keeps going off camera. I'm really gonna pester Andy tonight and try and sort out camera angle and light, because yeah. So I'm pretty happy that all the seam is going to be pressed through at the top, and I'm just going to pull it through so that my exterior is going to be at the top, like so. My exterior, sorry, is sort of like going to be inside, so it's going to be facing towards my machine so that I can top stitch it. Whew, that was a bit of a fight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on one of the handles and drop my needle into that seam. So I'm going to be able to do a very small back stitch and you're not going to be able to see it. And I'm going to do the back stitch when I come to the end. So I'm just going to work my way around very slowly. Obviously, when we get to this point here, you just have to be careful because of that magnetic snap. And just work my way around, manoeuvring the bag. We'll just get my hump jumper and have it there in case I need it. bottom thread. And I've got one skipped stitch that I can see. I'll have a think about whether I can live with it. So I'm just pushing it back through, and I'm going to pull the lining where we turned the bag. I'm going to pull that through the opening in the zipper, and I'm going to close that up. And then I'll just push that back in, and then I'm going to close the lining, the zipper lining. So, oh, look at how red my face is. I told you I get warm in here. So I'm going to push that pocket in and close that up and push that lining in. Close that, and there we go, all done. I'm loving this wool and leather blend. together. What do you think? I love the handles done in the leather, the base done that way. Yeah, I love how it's come together. I love the zipper pocket on the inside. My phone going in the pocket on the inside so that it fits really well. But like I say, I absolutely love this leather, like GH leathers, I think it was. This wool was Emmanuel's, the same as the cotton. Sarah says that's really lovely. I love that wool. Yeah, I have a real thing for wool fabric, wool blends and stuff such. Sarah says I must give this pattern a go. Yeah, and Ivan says those materials work fantastic together. Yeah, I do love wool, either leather or faux leather blend. It's quite squidgy, like obviously because I've used fusible fleece. It isn't a structured bag, but that's what I like about it. It is like it's quite squish, and I like that. It's not, I wanted something that actually wasn't going to be too heavy, to sort of you know, like I was saying this the other day, I think it was in one of the club lives. Oh no, it wasn't. It was when we were out for coffee on Saturday. My other trailblazer that I made, I didn't use any structure in it at all. I didn't use foam. I didn't use, other than in the base, I didn't use any Decaville or anything. And the top part does sink in on itself. But actually, I don't mind that, because it means if I've got a hoodie or a coat with a hood on, the top of the bag doesn't push my hood up. Like the bag like forms into like what I'm wearing, as opposed to the what I'm wearing having to conform to the bag. Does that make sense? And I much prefer it. Like, it's a personal preference, and that's the beauty of being able to make our own bags. We can make bags how we want them. So I love it. So although, like, if you pick the bag up, like if it was in a shop, somebody might be like, oh well, that bag sinks in on itself, it's faulted. It's not. Like, that's how I wanted it, because when I've got my hood on, like, the bag sort of contours to me, and I like that. So I purposely did not put any foam, Decaville or anything in that bag. But yeah, I'm really loving it. So I'm going to go and have my tea, because like I say, I've just realized I've had no dinner and I am absolutely, like, I'm so hungry. Like, my stomach is going so if you couldn't hear my dogs in the other room, then you could certainly hear my stomach. And I'm going to go and have a play and see if I can work out what is going on with why I'm getting overexposure with my cameras and my light. So thank you for sort of bearing with sort of me having to jiggle the camera and it not being the perfect angle, and then it being very sort of bright. So I sort of totally appreciate that it hasn't been the best, but that you've been able to get the general gist. So please give me the benefit of the doubt and still give the video a like. I'd really appreciate it. I'll see those of you in the club later on tonight for further session of the Trailblazer. See, I remembered the name of the pattern. And then we've obviously got the podcast tomorrow. See what I mean? I'm so hungry, words are hard. We've got the podcast tomorrow, and the lovely Monica is on from Also Petite. I haven't decided whether I'm going to do another sew along on Thursday. I've kind of tried to work into my work diary that either Tuesdays or Thursdays are going to be my days that I can do sew-alongs. And last week, obviously, I did it on both days to kind of see whether it fit in on either day. I haven't decided whether I'm going to do one on Thursday as well this week, but because you'll probably be sick of us by the end of this week. It'd be like Monday night, tomorrow night's podcast, you'd be like, Deb, man, no, Thursday is way too much. Like, give us a break. We'll see you next week. So Sarah says, thanks, Deb, really great session. Apart from me having to jingle around the cameras and hopefully not giving anybody seasickness. Rita says, thank you. Susie says, thanks for another great tutorial. You're very welcome. I don't profess to be an expert. I'm learning like everybody else. I just love to kind of share with people and learn with people. And sometimes, you know, sewing on your own is really quite lonely. So, you know, like there when I was like, shall I put a magnetic snap on? And you was like, well, like, yeah, like, you know, I wouldn't get that if I was sewing on my own. Maureen says, love it, gonna watch the beginning later. Thank you, Maureen. And Barbara says, thanks, Deb. You're very, very welcome. So yeah, so I will see some of you tonight at 7:30. Not too much for me, it's great company. Yeah, but there probably will be people who's like, Deb, give it a break. But if people want me to do one on Thursday, I'm sure I can probably cut something out. Like I say, I am trying to do all 3 bag patterns this month. So I've got a list. Of all bag patterns. So I'm sure I could cut something out. So if you're watching this back like later on tonight or tomorrow and you want me to do one on Thursday, let me know. If not, I'll do another one either next Tuesday or next Thursday. That's my plan, is to do that. So enjoy the rest of your evening. If like I say, if you have enjoyed it, or if you're going to give me the benefit of the doubt for the issues with my camera, do please give it a like. Give the channel a subscribe if you want to stay up to date with any of the other videos that I've got going on, because you'll get a notification. And yeah, and if you're watching this back on a replay, drop anything in the comments box down below. If you've made this pattern, if you're going to make a pattern, if you've got any questions, drop it in the comments, because I'll get a notification. I'll come back and answer it. Donna says, any free simple wallet patterns? I don't know if I've come across any, but I shall have a look. I'll have a look, see what I can come up with. Or if anybody knows of any free wallet patterns. I mean, obviously I've got to have permission from the pattern designer to do videos, but I can always reach out. If anybody knows any, drop it in the comments and I'll look into it. But yeah, where's my mouse? There it is. I'm going to go and have lasagna and get sorted for tonight. So enjoy your evening, happy sewing, and I will see you soon. Bye.